Hello, everybody. This is Cabo TV. Let me rather start Amharic speaker in Amharic. ይህ ካቦር ቲቪ ነው። ዛሬ ከሃና ገብረስላሴ የህዝባችን ኩራት ከሆነችው ጋር አብረን ቀርበናል። ኢንተርቪው እናደርጋለን። በእንግሊዘኛ ነው የምናደርገው። ኦብቪየስሊ ይሄንንም ተከታተሉ ከኛ ጋር የአማርኛ ተናጋሪዎች ስለሆናችሁ ነው ይሄንን በአማርኛ ማቀርበው። I'm so excited. Hannah, welcome to Cabo TV, and I'm excited to see you here, to interview you, to share your experience. I am super excited.
Well, I am honored to be here with you, and thank you for reaching out. Again, I'm just doing my job, and I'm just being me out here, so I'm really, really excited to talk with you and get to know more about you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share it, by the way, on Facebook, so people tuning in can also catch it from my Facebook. So make sure to tune in, everybody, if you're on either platform. It's on Cabo Mo on Facebook, or you can type in Hannah Gebresilassie, Hannah Joy Gebresilassie as well.
So, Hannah, I'm glad that to see to meet you here on such. We have seen you that on a TV, like wearing a traditional dress and burning some of your colleague with a hot pepper. So that is so funny. So can you tell us before introducing yourself? Are you into your culture background? Try to show on a TV. Let us know about that. What do you say about that?
Yeah, so it's funny. I have to acknowledge something to start off. And you're not the first person to do this. You're probably the 100th person to do this. The pepper video, that's actually Rahel Solomon, based out of Philadelphia. And she is killing it. She's an anchor there. So shout out to Rahel. That was not me. I was not the person that ate the pepper chips. She did her thing. And a lot of people confuse us, which I'm really happy that this happened so I can clear that up, because it's so funny. People confuse us sometimes. So shout out to her. And I guess to sort of jump into what I'm doing, I guess like the first time I wore a habashak kameez on air, it was Ganna. It was Orthodox Christmas for those that celebrate. And it was a Sunday, and I had the opportunity to fill in as anchor. And, you know, I'm in Southern Illinois, rural Southern Illinois, away from my family, and I have all my dresses in my closet, you know, and I knew I just sort of I wanted to do what I would normally do in our community and with our family, right? You get together, you feast, and not just for Orthodox, you know, Christmas. You do that for Muslim holidays. You do that for other holidays as well. And so I just asked my news director. I said, "Hey, it's a holiday tomorrow. It's an Orthodox Christmas holiday, and a lot of folks are celebrating around the world. Is it okay if I wear a traditional dress on air?" I just asked the question the day before, and he goes, "Yeah, you know," he didn't even hesitate. He said, "Yeah, absolutely. Wear it on air. Just explain why you're doing it so our viewers in Southern Illinois understand where it came from, what it is. Because when you first see it, you may be thrown off." So he just said, you know, make sure you explain it. And that's why if you look at my Facebook page, I was able to do a story and share that a little bit about Ganna, and then also wear the dress. And it was just, yeah, it just worked out.
Still, I see very traditional road flags and the Ethiopian African map and everything. I loved it. So, Hannah, my question directed to you is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you born, how many brothers, sisters you have, all those background info?
Sure. So I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up in a really strong Ethiopian community there. We had Eritreans as well that my mom was really close to. And so I always sort of grew up in this community, whether it was through church or, you know, just the local community centers. I was always exposed to that as an early age. And I was originally born in California. I was born in Anaheim, California. And then we moved to Atlanta when I was 4 years old. So that's where I went to elementary and middle school. And by the end of middle school, my mom wanted to relocate to the suburbs right outside of Atlanta to sort of get us in a great school system and, yeah, just continue on the journey. So she moved out to the suburbs, and I finished high school. I went in Lilburn, Georgia, if people are familiar with that. and then sort of kept it moving. As far as my family goes, yeah, like I have amazing parents, my mom and my dad, Mulu Hailab and Nega Gebresilassie, they're my rocks, you know. And then I have brothers and sisters as well. So I have my older brother, Matthew, and then I have a younger sister, Gracie, and then a younger brother, Junior. And they're just, they're all amazing. And then I have brothers and sisters all throughout the community. It's not even just like immediate family, but you know, if you check out on Instagram or on Facebook, I'm always saying, hey, my brother this, my sister that, because I have so many big brothers and big sisters and little brothers and little sisters that aren't related to me by blood, but were related through the community, if that makes sense.
That would be wonderful. So this interview is aimed like to give inspiration or motivation to young generation who are born in the diaspora, US and Canada especially. So they share your struggle, your success. So I just want to get it like an inspiration or motivation from you. So let's start from early age. How was your elementary school or junior, all those young age? How was your life? How does it look like?
Yeah. So I guess, you know, we grew up, I'm a product of immigrants, right? You know, my family, my mom and dad came here as refugees in the 80s. They came to Illinois and then, you know, eventually relocated. But, you know, when you come here with nothing, you're fighting to make something, right? And so they were always working. You know, me and my brother, it was mostly me and my brother growing up. He's 4 years older than me, and he was my role model. You know, my big brother was he was like the father figure, you know, because like I said, my parents were always working. So I grew up, you know, in elementary and middle school, and we'd come home and we'd cook. We started doing laundry when we were like 8 years old. You know, we didn't have a lot of money in the family, so we just pushed it. My brother carried us, you know, he's the one, and I think he passed that on to me, right? So we have to carry each other. But yeah, elementary school, but I always felt the love, you know. I have so many moms and dads in the community that always stepped in, you know, whenever. And it was a beautiful thing. Like, you know, right now I'm actually with my cousin from Atlanta. She's here, and we live together in the same home. Our moms raised us together in the same home. You know, that's the type of bond that I was exposed to at a young age. And so then I get to middle school, and like I told you earlier, my mom, she relocated. She moved out to the suburbs, which is like a little bit more middle-class community. And, you know, we weren't really, that wasn't really our I guess, day-to-day. So going into the school system that was a little bit more affluent, more middle-class, like it was an adjustment, you know. And I got teased a lot. I got bullied a lot in middle school. I was picked on, and I went home every day and I cried, and I tried to hide it from my mom, though. I didn't want her to see it because I didn't want her to feel bad, you know. And my mom was just like, Hanna, did I make a mistake? Should we move back to Atlanta? I'm so sorry, you know, because the people in middle school, they called me names. They called me, like UGH, scarecrow, because I was like really skinny. I still am, but back then it wasn't really flattering. And, you know, they called me all kinds. They called me names, you know, and it was tough. It was really tough. And I had friends. I had a best friend, Faven Gaetana, that really stepped in and was there for me. She's the one that had my back through thick and thin. She carried me through middle school because, you know, that's my Habesha, that's my Ethiopian sister, and she was there. And to this day, we're best friends, you know. So I really attribute that. So there were a lot of highs and there were a lot of lows. I was always a loud, curious kid, never afraid to embarrass myself in public. I still am that way. Yeah. And yeah, I would say that all sort of transpired into like where I am today. As far as elementary.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, my sound is clear here. I heard an echo, but bullying is especially in the middle school or teenage years is a problem for immigrant kids. Yes. Can you specifically word of encouragement, or how do you pass through? How do you manage? Can you tell us those experiences so that someone might hear this one, get an inspiration or get a solution or like a guts to move on? You know what I mean? So can you share us those experiences more in detail?
Yeah. The first thing I want to say to anybody watching this or tuning in is that you are absolutely beautiful the way that you are. The way that you are in this world, do not let anybody change that. Be who you are and know that you are you for a reason. So that's the first thing I would say to the children, to anybody that feels like they aren't enough. You are enough. You know, I think sometimes the world puts pressures on us. Don't mind that. Now there's good pressure that can help you reach your goals and get to that next level. But as far as that pressure that brings you down and that hurts you, you don't need that in your life. You know, as far as getting bullied in immigrant communities, there's a lot of that. There was language barriers growing up. You know, our parents didn't speak English when they came here. And, you know, I go to school smelling like onions and caria, you know what I mean? So my friends are, you know, people in class, what's that smell? You know, it's like you smell like chingurti and caria. So that's something that we can relate to with one another. And I want to tell the kids, I was there. I went to school smelling just like berbere, you know, and back then, I'm not going to lie, I was a little embarrassed, right? Because you go to school and people don't know what that smell is, where it's coming from. And, you know, but fast forward to where I am now, I'm so proud to smell like chingurti and caria and berbere. Whenever I go to my aunt's houses in Chicago, you know, they'll be cooking up dorowets, whatever, and I leave and I smell so good, you know. It's just like a whole different experience. So I want kids to know in the moment, it may feel like it's not that great, or, you know, you may feel like you smell, but you really don't. You smell beautiful. Like imagine coming home and, you know, being right with your family members. So I guess I would encourage children, when you get those comments from people about, you know, your language or smelling or, you know, being skinny or bigger or whatever it is, you know, sometimes bullies come from a place of pain. Sometimes they're hurting inside and they're taking it out on other people. And it sucks, but you have to realize that at some points you have to be the bigger person. I'm not saying that it's okay for people to bully, and I'm not saying that it's okay for, you know, people to put other children in that situation, but I know that, you know, the youth, they're strong. They are strong. And we as older people, as people who have been through this, we have to pass it on, right? That's why it's so important to get in your communities as a young professional, to talk to them one-on-one, because sometimes the parents, like my mom was trying to talk to me when I was getting bullied in middle school. I wasn't even trying to tell her I was getting bullied. She knew something was up, but I didn't want to tell her. I didn't want to say I'm crying every day because I'm getting bullied, you know. But who did I talk to? I talked to my best friend Faven about it. She's the one that was there for me, you know, because I felt like we could relate more because, you know, she's a little younger and we're right there together. So I guess the importance, I want to stress the importance of peer mentoring, as well as, you know, professionals getting back and helping children, you know, and not even just the older generations, paying it forward, being there, listening to these children and sharing with them these experiences, letting them know that I was just like you once and you're going to get through it. You will. Because if I did, I'm not a superhero, right? I'm a human being just like you. I don't have more strength powers than these children do. So if they're getting bullied, then they need to know that they're going to get through it. And if they need someone to lean on, shoot me a message. I'll try and respond and get you that little token of, you know, motivation, or reach out to someone that you admire or that you love and let them know what's going on. You know, let them know so they can help you be great and get through that.
Wow, that's wonderful. So the other question always lingering on the younger generation who are raised up from immigrant kids is trying to fit in a friendship or in a society, whether in a high school, college, or a workplace, wherever. We have that big problem. We try to fit in and we don't know how. So that problem, to that challenge, to how do you manage to pass through, or you still feeling it maybe? How do you experience it? How do you explain it?
I mean, it's going to take some experience for sure. And it's going to take openness from the parents and the guardians and the people in their life. When I was younger, when I was in high school and college, you know, I wanted to be on the dance team, and my parents supported that. You know, a lot of times I saw friends where their parents said, no, just school, that's it. You got to realize, you know, we live in a world where people want you to be well-rounded. People want students that are, you know, well-rounded and have various experiences. So for parents, encourage your children to get involved and to tap into their passions and their interests. If they like to paint, get them involved in painting classes. You know, if they like to dance, get them. And I know it's hard too because the money isn't always there. I started working when I was 15 years old. I worked at Kroger. I would walk to work and push carts and bag groceries just to help pay for dance, you know, to help my parents pay for it because it was expensive. So, you know, so children, you know that you can make it work. So I would say it starts early on. Get them involved, get them exposed to different communities. Yes, while I'm so grateful that I grew up in this Habesha community, this Ethiopian, community, and Eritreans community, I'm so thankful for that, because that makes me who I am today. But I also know that the experiences outside of the community also helped shape me. Being involved with the dance team, working and interning with sports teams like the Georgia Tech women's basketball team, the Atlanta Falcons, and being exposed to all these different people, working at the registrar's office on campus, or working in different restaurants. I'm getting exposed to different people. So I really think that exposure is key, and I think we can all learn something from one another.
That's wonderful. The next question is obviously, how was it like when you finish high school? How was your college life? How was it look like? What did you study? And all that college life. Give us the college life.
Okay, college life. Oh yeah, I went to college in Atlanta, and I had a blast, and I also worked hard. So I think there's a balance you got to have. So as I mentioned, my big brother was sort of always a big role model and influence in me, and he went to Georgia Tech to study engineering. So I knew I wanted to go to Georgia Tech. I was like, that was the only school I was going to apply for. I was like, if I don't go to Georgia Tech, I don't want to go to school. It was a really, looking back, the mentality was so premature, right? And so my brother, he was like, Hannah, I love you, but you got to apply to other schools. You got to have a backup plan in case this one doesn't work. And, he was like, I believe in you, but you need to know you got to have a backup plan. So I applied to Georgia Tech, and then I also applied to other schools. So, the only other school I applied to was Georgia State University. And I heard back from them really fast, and I had found out I got in, and Georgia State's an amazing school as well. And but it was just, I wanted to be like my brother so bad, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. So Georgia Tech gets back to me, and I found out that I get a conditional acceptance, meaning I have to go to another school and then transfer in. So once I take certain requirements, I had to meet calculus, 2 sciences, calculus 2, things like that, and then I'd be able to transfer in as long as I maintained the GPA. And so it was kind of like a halfway acceptance, right? I got in, but I wouldn't be able to start for a year or two. And then I had to meet these requirements. So I attended Georgia State University for my freshman and sophomore year, and it was incredible. I believe in everything happening for a reason, and there's a reason why I didn't go straight to Georgia Tech. The friendships, the lessons I learned while being at Georgia State will forever be a part of me. And I say that because sometimes when we're applying for college, we all think, I want to go to this dream school. This is the school I want to go to. It may not work out, but we need to understand that there may be bigger things waiting for you at another school or somewhere else. And that's what happened, Like I said, I gained so many amazing experiences at Georgia State that I still carry with me. So then I ended up transferring to Georgia Tech, and then I had a whole new experience there, and I was really involved. I danced at both schools. At Georgia Tech, I was an ambassador for the College of Business. That's what I studied, business administration. I was involved with the Georgia Tech women's basketball team, Go Jackets. I was involved with them as a manager. I got to travel the world with them. We went to Europe, Puerto Rico, all throughout the states, so that experience working with the team and being a team manager opened up my eyes to different things, right? And then, and so while I was studying business at school, I had different things going on the side. And that's something that people need to understand. Whether you're in school or whether you're in work, you can be doing those things full time, but understand you can do your passions on the side as well. So that was sort of what I was doing on the side. I was doing internships, I was working, I was doing volunteer opportunities, and then that sort of prepared me for the real world after college. So I just encourage people, somebody said this a few years ago when I was at a conference. They said something like, do what you got to do to maintain and do it great. No, it was like, do what you got to do to maintain and be great at it while cultivating your dreams and your passions on the side. Mm-hmm. So do what you got to do right here, right? If you're working, if you're in school, do what you got to do, right? But on the side, when you have off time, other times, do what you love, do what you're passionate about, and then cultivate that until that becomes your full-time, your full-time, position.
Mm-hmm. Let me block this one. Okay. So my next question will be how did you turn news into a media or a news anchor into media? Was it your dream from the beginning, or How did it happen?
Yeah, so when I was working in sports, like I mentioned, the women's basketball team, and then as well as the Atlanta Falcons, I realized that I loved I love telling stories, right? I was very curious about the athletes on the field, whether it was with the Falcons or the athletes at Georgia Tech on the basketball court. Who were they off the court? Who were they off the field? And so that sort of led me to, realizing that because at the time I was doing sports marketing and business, and I enjoyed it. Sports marketing, entertainment, business. I had fun doing that, and it was also a very rewarding experience. However, I knew there was an itch inside of me to tell stories, right? So while I'm doing event marketing and that kind of thing, I was like, wow, I want to tell stories about these athletes. So I started doing that. I started doing internships. I started doing it in my free time. I had a couple friends that played in the NFL that just let me interview them just because they were nice and they just wanted to share their story, and they also wanted to give me a chance. I won't forget it. Harry Douglas and Michael Johnson, they were two players that they're still playing, and they let me come in and just interview them. They both had initiatives that were going on. One was it was like a bowling charity event, and then the other one, Michael Johnson, he was actually a student. He had an incredible story, which I can go into later. But he was at Tech trying to finish his degree while he was playing in the NFL. Right, really cool experience. And one thing I want to mention about that is I had a lot of mentors in Atlanta. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but I had a lot of mentees in Atlanta. And so the NFL player that went to Tech, Michael Johnson, he let my mentee from church shadow him at Georgia Tech. So, he got to work out with him. He got to sit in class with him because he was looking to do football as well. So, I think those experiences made me realize I want to tell more of these stories. I want to tell more of them. So then I was like, well, let me get back to school and so I applied to Northwestern University's journalism program and I went there. I had a tremendous experience. I thought I wanted to be a sports reporter, but then we went to South Africa, Johannesburg. We worked on a documentary highlighting the Chinese diaspora, and then that opened up my eyes even more. I was like, wow, there's so many stories out here to tell. And I remember I met this Ethiopian man in South Africa who moved there. He left due to circumstances in Ethiopia and started a new life in South Africa. And he was the first person that I interviewed, Ethiopian that I was like, I want to put his story out there. I want to tell his story. His name is Sammy. And I interviewed him, and we did a story about his journey from Ethiopia to South Africa and how he started over. Very similar to my parents' story, And after I graduated college or grad school, I went and did a 6-month training position at Fox 5 Atlanta. And I worked for the Atlanta Dream, the WNBA team. And then I realized, okay, it's time to get this going. It's a lot. It's a whole lot, but I'm trying to sum it up. And I guess, after working for the Falcons, after working for Fox 5, I then took my first on-air position, which is where I am now in Southern Illinois. And that's where I'm working now. I work for an ABC affiliate, WSIL TV in Southern Illinois. So it's a lot. I'm trying to sum it all up, but that's sort of what led me to where I'm at now.
Hannah, then maybe growing up younger, who was your role model from our community or from books you read? Who was your role model or people aspire to you?
Yeah, people that I aspire to be like growing up. The first people, my mom and dad, hands down, two of the hardest working, selfless people in the world. And I feel like I could say that about a lot of parents, a lot of family members out there and community members. So definitely my mom and dad. And then my brother, my big brother, he led the way. Like I said, I always wanted to be like him growing up. And I'm not an engineer today, but he definitely sort of led me to where I am. I'd say family members, have family members that have done really wonderful things here as well. And my friends. So yeah, I guess I don't want to admit, I could go on and name so many people, but if I had
one of your mentors, maybe people, any person who read from the book, somebody out in your community and outside of your community.
Yeah. So I guess I'll say this. one of the biggest influences growing up was my uncle, Maui Askadom, who a lot of people are familiar with. He came here to this country. He's my mom's younger brother, and they all came here as refugees. And he ended up working his way to Harvard and giving the commencement speech. And at 23 years old, Oprah invited him on her show. And so my family and Uncle Maui, he was on the show. And after that, my Uncle Maui just kind of skyrocketed. And growing up as a child, I always remember he would take me to conferences with him anytime because he speaks. He's a motivational speaker, and he travels the world to share messages. And whenever he would come to Atlanta, as a little girl, he would always bring me as his plus one. Mm-hmm. Always bring me to expose me, right? It goes back to exposure. And he was doing that because he wanted to show me, this is what's possible. This is what you can do. And so he inspired me in so many ways. He always gave me advice when it came to school and stuff like that. And just things in general. Like, and the thing I really appreciate about him is that he's down to earth, right? Yes, he's a Harvard graduate. Yes, he's been on Oprah. Yes, he's traveled the world. He is so down to earth. You know what I mean? That's the thing that I feel like I carry too from him, because he comes as he is. And that's the same with me. I'm going to come as I am, and we're going to be ourselves. We're not going to put on this, hello, this like fake persona to blend in. Like, no, we're going to be ourselves, and that, I feel like that resonates with people. I feel like when you can come to someone as you are and just know, like I grew up, we didn't have money in the family, we didn't have all of the fancy things growing up. I love Atlanta rap music and hip hop, and I love having a good time. Like, just being able to connect with people. I think that comes off in a very natural and great way. So yeah.
Okay, let's come to the media experience you have. Which work that you mentioned, like that, oh, this is epidemic, or on top of my list that I cover this news, or I cover this story. Which story you can always remember, like, oh, that was the top, the climax of my media experience? Which stories you cover and that you are proud of? You say heartwarming, touching stories. Which one you mentioned?
Yeah, it's I can't just say one story. I've been in this business I've been an on-air television reporter for 10 months. I'm about to hit my 1 year in July.
Wow.
And I can't begin to tell you all the stories that we cover. A new story every single day, so every single story we touch is important to me, I feel like. As far as the ones that, I mean, for me personally, I love telling those stories of people overcoming long odds and thriving in the face of adversity. And so when I interview a breast cancer survivor, or when I interview a lung transplant survivor, or a gun survivor, gun shooting survivor, or there are all these different people that have overcome so many obstacles and challenges. So I would say those all of those stories really are special to me, and so it's really hard to say just one. I'm really thankful that I have a platform that allows me to share cultural stories as well. I love that. That's a big part of who we are, or at least in my opinion. And I think it's important to share that and embrace each other's cultures. And so, yeah, I'm actually excited because starting next week, we're launching a new segment at my station, and it's going to be called Going Global. And I'm going to host it, and every week we're going to introduce our viewers to a new culture in Southern Illinois. Because yes, Southern Illinois is very rural, and you have this sort of like culture there, but there are also so many people that have moved from across the world into Southern Illinois. And so every week, I want to highlight a different person and a different culture.
Wow,
and
that's
and the final episode is going to be Southern Illinois culture, what it means to be from Southern Illinois. So I'm really excited about it. And so I would say any stories like that. I love telling those sorts of stories.
Oh, Hannah, like this is like an inspiration interview. So if somebody from a young kid who was born here and trying to go through in college or high school, what message you relay to them? They can be in a low place. They might not get a direction they need. They are struggling with something. What message you gonna relay to those teenage or kids or people from our community?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is that tomorrow is another day. My dad always says that tomorrow is another day. What you're going through right now, yes, it might be tough, it might be hard, but you're going to get through it. And you also have to work hard. Nothing is going to be handed to you on a silver platter. Look at our parents. Look at our parents that came to this country with nothing and what they have today. You know, we got to remember that. I'm not saying to compare the struggle, because the struggles are very different, you know, and don't get caught up in comparing the struggle. I use that as inspiration for me. I use that as motivation to say, you know what, I can do this, you know. And so I encourage you all to just hang in there if you are going through tough times, and to reach for your dreams. Don't let anyone tell you you're not capable of doing something, you know. I mean, obviously, sometimes the journey takes us in different paths than we may have anticipated, but go after what you want, and go after it in a professional, in a courteous, in a humble way, because when you do it that way, you'll get the benefits will be that much sweeter. When you do things in spite, when you come from a negative place, it's going to catch up. It will catch up. So I would say just, you never know who's watching too. You never know who's watching. It's important that you get involved in internships. I've worked in different places. I worked everywhere from Kroger to Taco Bell to pizza place to shoe place to all sorts of places. And what I learned in every job is that the interactions you make with people will carry on for a lifetime. People that I've worked with referred me to this position, that opportunity, this opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, people are always watching. One of the reasons why I was able to get a hold of that Fox 5 Atlanta position is because a woman that I knew through Georgia Tech women's basketball team, who's now my good friend, she reached out and said, hey, there's an opening. I think you may be interested. She saw how hard I worked when I was with the women's basketball team, so she referred me for the Fox 5 Atlanta position. You know, people are always watching. And sometimes when that opportunity presents itself, they're going to think about you. They're going to think about that student or that child that's working really hard. So I would say just sort of know that, you know, and don't expect things from people. You know, you really got to work hard to earn your place at the table. Nothing is going to be handed to you. Nothing. And be humble. Like I said, be humble. I cleaned toilets with my mom, you know, and that taught me a lot. That taught me just to be humble, to stay true to who you are. None of us are above any job, you know, none of us. So I think understanding that in any role you have, there are takeaways. So be a sponge, take it all in, ask questions that are, you know, inquisitive, and be sharp on the job, and, you know, and talk to people, talk to elders, talk to young professionals like myself, and ask them questions. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I asked a lot of questions to a lot of people growing up, and most people want to help. Most people want to pass it forward. So, you know, to the young folks watching, don't be ashamed of where you come from. Don't be ashamed to ask for help, and understand it might not always come the way you want it, but life has some sort of way of making sense at the end, is what I would say. So that's just a little bit.
Wow. Let me rephrase this question to the other way around also. What are you going to say to the parents, which has to lead to the right direction, respect the kids' passion instead of their vision to live through the kid? So what kind of word you going to say to the parents to lead the kids into the right direction?
Yeah. As I mentioned, you know, with my mom and dad, they had a really great approach at raising us. You know, they trusted us to pursue our passions. They encouraged us to kind of think outside the box and get involved in these different activities. So I would encourage parents to sort of be open-minded with your children, and don't compare them to other people's kids. That's not fun at all. For a child to hear that constantly. I remember growing up, a lot of parents, you know, oh, be like Hannah and Matthew, you know. No, let them be like themselves. Every child is so unique in their own way. You know, we don't need to be comparing. Now, again, I mentored a lot of the children in our community because I love them and they're my family, you know. But I'm never telling them to be like me. That's not what I tell them. I tell them, you know, what do you like to do? What are you interested in? What makes you happy? What are you going to wake up every day and work hard toward and do it where you want to continue growing in that field? You know, those are the types of questions. Really understand your children. You know, this is a whole new, it's almost like growing up in two different worlds. You have to realize that for the children. When they go to school, it's a completely different environment. When they come home, nobody speaks English. There's steps everywhere. There's bunna, there's all this stuff. And I love it. I love both worlds. Don't get me wrong. I love both worlds, but parents have to understand that, you know? So you have to make sure that they're prepared to succeed sort of in both worlds.
Is there any acknowledgement or respect you're going to do, mention people that you got this opportunity now to mention their name, who are involved or who saw in your life? So if you want to mention some people, let it be now.
I mean, that's a really, really loaded question. Honestly, I don't want to leave anyone out. And there are hundreds of people that have stood behind me to push me to where I am. And I don't want to start naming because I'm going to forget. And from my uncles to my aunts to my church community, in Atlanta, to my friends, to my professors at school, to my bosses in every job I've had, to my mentors. You know, I have a list of mentors as well. And like I said, I don't want to start naming because there's so many that have done so much for our family and for me that I don't want to forget anyone. So I would just say thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the support. Everyone that I know, everyone I don't know, people across the world that have shown me so much love and support. I would just say thank you to everybody.
Fair enough. What is the future holding, or what is your plan for the future for Hannah? Hannah, what is she's planning related to the community, related to work, whatever in the future?
Yeah. Well, for Hannah, for the future, so I am loving my journey in local news. I am embracing it. Every day I wake up and I get after telling those local stories because they are very important in our community. I would like to obviously continue doing that, but I would also like to expand and tell more stories sort of nationally and globally. Again, earlier I mentioned being able to tell stories of people overcoming long odds, people thriving in the face of rejection. You know, every one of us has a story. Every one of us has a journey. And I'd love to shed light on those journeys, to use them as tokens of inspiration for people across the world that may be able to relate or may be able to take something away from it. And so I would say that, yeah, I definitely plan to build on that, you know, and there's an opportunity for me to have a show that I'm going to be doing a little bit more of that on the side. So I would, you know, look into that. I'd look into building my YouTube channel. Recently, I was asked where I see myself in 5 years, and I just kind of threw it out there. And you know, a lot of people have been saying this to me for years, and now I'm just like, why don't I start seeing it for myself too? But I said maybe I'll have a talk show, and maybe I'll be able to do these stories and connect people with resources like Oprah did, right? In her show, she always found a way to bring those resources to people that were in need, or tell those inspiring stories to help people across the world. So yeah, I could see that happening in the future.
Oh, some people are throwing questions, so I have to. What was your difficult challenge you ever faced?
The most difficult challenge I ever faced? That's a tough one. I'm trying to think of which one.
By the way, while you are thinking, let me talk to our viewers. Maybe
yeah.
You can send questions, and you can send also to Hannah a message. We are proud of you. We are just you are a joy and a pride of our community. You can send an encouragement. When I see on the screen, I really am proud of you, Hannah. We're related to your culture, your dress, everything. I'm really proud of you. That's why I love to bring you to the community, you know, connect to your community through this media, whatever it is. So
Thank you.
people you can express your appreciation to Anna using this platform right now, and also to follow this Cabo TV, you can send a friend request or press the following button next to there. You can follow every time like these shows. So go ahead.
Okay, I was just seeing if anybody left any questions while you had that up. But yeah, I do want to say, I want to say thank you for that support. I really felt like it was genuine. As far as challenge growing up, I mean, there were many. I would say growing up in a single mom home, you know, that was tough for me and my brother, and watching my parents work so hard, you know, and just wanting to see a better life for all of us. So my mom and dad, it didn't work out, you know, and so at 4 years old, they started split, and it was tough, you know. It was rough coming home and trying to make sense of everything, you know. So that was, it hurt, right? Like as a kid, you don't really know what's going on. And one thing I can say though is that even though it hurt in the moment, right, growing up and not understanding why, you know, your mom and dad weren't together, in the end, I mean, like I said, in the end, it all worked out. You know, I had a mom who worked 3 jobs just to pay the bills, just to get us through school, just to make sure we had everything we needed on the table. And I had a dad who loved me unconditionally, who eventually they got to a point where they were able to, you know, sort of co-parent, even though they lived in 2 different homes. You know, they looked past their differences for their children. And I will never, ever be able to thank them for that, because I had a strong, loving, selfless father and a mother who would give the world for her children. And it was very painful in the beginning, but like I said, it all sort of worked out.
Wow. There are also a message of appreciation. Yeah, we love you already. We're proud of you. There is a question too. So let me start the one I see. What is the use in our community want to change as you growing up, and what things you want to be changing in our community?
I would like to see more unity. I really would. I would like to see us come together more. I think our generation is doing that, you know, and I think we can do that more as a group. So, you know, yes, Ethiopia and Eritrea, there's so many ethnic groups across the countries, you know, and everyone loves where they come from, and there's so much beauty in every culture and every group. I would like to see us embrace each other more. Instead of seeing the differences and the division, let's see more of the beauty in one another, you know? So that's sort of what I would like to see more of, because I feel like the kids, sometimes the parents raise their kids to think a certain way, to think divided. And we shouldn't raise children to think that way. You know, we should raise them to embrace one another. So that's something I would like to see more of.
There's another question from Eleni Tenaye. Who encouraged you the most when you were young?
Who encouraged me the most when I was young? I've sort of hit on this earlier from talking about mentors, my mom and dad. I think my brother, though, was my biggest role model. I wanted to do everything my brother did. My brother played outside with the guys. I wanted to play outside with the guys. My brother loved listening to Craig David. I loved listening to Craig David. My brother hated pickles. I hated pickles. You know, everything my brother did, I wanted to do too. My brother went to Georgia Tech. I went to Georgia Tech. So I would say he had one of the biggest impacts on me as a child. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe people are still continuing to send, but we have to wrap up on this one. Any last word to our community?
Any last word? Yeah. To our community, the first thing I want to say is thank you to the mothers, the fathers, the aunties, the uncles, the brothers, the sisters, the friends. Everyone in the community is playing their role. And there is something so special about how our community comes together in times of need, in times of celebration. And that is something so special. And I just say thank you to everyone for being who you are in this world and loving one another and teaching us children to love each other like that, because that's where we get it from, this community sense of belonging and love. You know, I would encourage us to continue that, continue loving each other, and let's do more of that, right? Let's see more unity. I come from a blended family, and I'm proud of where we come from. I love my brothers and sisters, no matter what they are, no matter what religion, no matter what culture, no matter what. You know, we need to do a better job of seeing each other as human beings, as brothers and as sisters. So I would really encourage everyone just to, right now more than ever, we need to love, and we need to come together and be unified. So I would just encourage that message, and I would just say thank you again to every single person that has messaged me, that has commented on a Facebook or Instagram or Twitter post, everything. Every single one of you. I try and read every single one. I may not be able to respond to them all, but I try my best, and I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your love, and I want to encourage you to pour that same love and that same support that you're showing me into your children, into the children of your community, into the children of our future. So I'll end it there.
If people want to contact you, have like info, anything, how do they contact you?
Yeah, sure. So keep up with me on social media. You can follow me, Hannah Joy TV. That is my Instagram and Twitter. Again, Hannah Joy TV. By the way, Joy is my real middle name for those of you who are asking. I know it's...
I was thinking of replacing Desta or Hagos. Wasn't it?
Yeah, so Hannah Joy TV on Instagram and Twitter, and then on Facebook, as many of you all know, Hannah Joy Gebresilassie. You can search that and find that. And then, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to produce more original content. So I'm almost at 1,000. I'm at like 860 something, I believe. So once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll be considered a partner with YouTube. So please subscribe and share. It's Hannah Joy TV. Same thing, Hannah Joy TV. Tell all your friends, your cousins, your work, your coworkers, everything. Subscribe, please, and share the videos, watch it. And I love hearing your feedback. You know, recently somebody left some feedback on my page, and I appreciate it. So feel free to message me, share your feedback. And I just send positive vibes to everyone. To Kabod Mo, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to join you today. I know it took us some time to finally get it going, but I want to say thank you to you. Thank you for the work you're doing to share stories and put more stories out there. So thank you.
It's my joy too. Yeah, Hannah, as you know, as I said before, you are a pride and joy of our community. I'm so humbled to meet you.
I'm happy to
so
meet you.
all of my viewers, go ahead.
So I do have one more thing. I am very excited for those of you that are in LA. I will be there in a week from tomorrow. I'm so honored. I'll be one of 4 recipients receiving an award with Kagame Cultural and Entertainment Center. So I'm truly honored. I mean, to be recognized in this way. Honestly, everything that I'm doing is I'm just being me, and I'm just trying to carry on what you all have given to us. So I'm truly honored to accept this award. It's a free event. Everyone is invited. So if you're in LA, if you're in the area, please come next Saturday at 3 p.m. There's information on my Facebook page, and I'm going to share the flyer as well. So make sure to look out for that. And I just want to say thank you to them as well for the honor, and I'm truly honored.
All of my viewers in Kabod TV and Hannah Joy Gebresilassie, I will still hang up on the joy though. So thank you for watching us, staying with us, and giving us like appreciation to Hannah, and sending questions, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a nice night. Thank you, Hannah. Bye-bye.
Bye.